Let's move on. Speaking of Barry and Mike, you guys are Dallas Cowboys fans. Let's talk about them. And in what I dubbed the Carving It Up Bowl, because I'm a massive Dak Prescott fan. I'm a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. And Dak absolutely broke my heart in the final 20 seconds. Nonetheless, Dak Prescott, all things considered, playing the number one defense of the league, threw for 350 yards, did turn the ball over not once, not twice, but 3 times. 2 of them I thought were disastrous turnovers, particularly in the red zone. You also consider the fact that obviously a Dallas defense did a pretty good job stopping the run, but ultimately it came down to Dak and Jalen Tolbert coming up clutch at the end. I'll start with you, Mike Guido. Scale of 1 to 10, how big of a win was this for the Dallas Cowboys?
I don't know, like a 3, maybe. Like I don't think that this win is that big, and it's not because it's not a solid win. The Steelers are a good football team. Dallas is not as good as Pittsburgh, and they beat them on the road and stuff like that. Like, okay, it's a solid win, but what does it say about them? Almost next to nothing. You said it, Bryson, right? There were a couple turnovers on the offensive side of the football that were bad. I mean, Dak threw 2 really bad interceptions in that game, despite the fact that he played really well towards the end of the game. But I think that's something to be said about that. They can't run the football. I know Rico Dowdle had some semblance of a game, but I've never seen a team run the ball as poorly as the Dallas Cowboys do this year. They have no semblance of balance in their offense. It is Dak, and that is all that it relies on right now. So I don't think it really says much of anything on them. I can give Dak credit for doing it against a Pittsburgh defense that's very, very, very good. And I think Dallas's defense could be good, but again, this is a Steeler offense that has been dealing with the same sort of struggles. They've had a very inconsistent running game. Their offensive line has been inconsistent. They desperately seem to need a wide receiver. Justin Fields has had his struggles, his inconsistencies throughout the season. So really, I don't know what this game can tell you other than Pittsburgh's pretty good. Dallas is okay. It's a good win for Dallas. Congratulations. I just don't think it tells you all that much.
I understand what you're saying. And listen, up until this game, Dallas had done, to your point, virtually nothing when it came to running the football. Rico Dowdle was having the game of his life until he almost became the GOAT, and not the good GOAT, the bad GOAT, fumbling at the goal line. Landon Roberts doing his best Troy Polamalu impression, and Dak even saved the day in that regard. But you do make some fair points across the board, Mike. To you, Barry Grant Jr., you are also a Cowboys fan along with Mike Guido. Scale 1 to 10, how big of a win was this for America's team?
I'd say I give it a 6.
Okay.
I give it a 6. The reason why I say 6 is because I think you kind of saw the gamut of what Dak Prescott is. You see the frustrations, the interceptions, the bad reads, the stoic look, and everybody's frustrated. He's just staring into his laptop or whatever it is, right? And then you see the resurgence, the fourth quarter hop in his step where he can score points. Then you have the game-winning drives and stuff like that, right? You've seen everything in that game about Dak Prescott. But what impressed me about the team is that they maintained their ability to stay within the game. They didn't get blown out. In other aspects, you'd see them down 35-0, right? And then they have to go ahead and score some gimme points in the fourth quarter and make it a game. They actually played well with 2 of their pass rushers out, right? DeMarcus Lawrence is out. Micah Parsons is out. So they really put together a good scheme. I think Mike Zimmer's starting to get his footing in regards to what he's doing. I think the team is starting to understand the concept of what he's trying to come across or what the game plan is. And yeah, it's just both teams mirror each other, right? Weak offenses, good defenses, but the Cowboys have a better quarterback, right? So, but I would say it's an impressive win because had they lost that game, things don't really get much better after that, right? Their schedule is not the easiest schedule. So any win in the National Football League is a good win. And you have to keep pace in that division because the Commanders look really, really good. And the Eagles are still the Eagles, right? So you don't want to drop too far back and put yourself in a hole. So, yeah, I would say it's a 6 because nobody expected them to win that game, and they ended up winning that game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that was To your point about Washington, that's thus far the best offensive league in terms of points score. But yeah, I mean, to your point about Dak, like again, folks that know my show know I'm the biggest Dak fan in the world, and there were some plays where I'm like, man, as a Steelers fan, this is beautiful. I mean, he's the CeeDee Lamb turnover in the end zone. Honest to God, I'm not trying to say this to cape for Dak. Somebody screwed up really bad, or post screwed up really bad in that play. But I'll tell you what I loved about Dak on that final drive. We could talk about some of the throws he made and keep his composure. What I loved and what scared me to death as a Steelers fan, this is when I knew it was really over, was when he completed the pass to Hunter Licky, the fullback, got them down inside the 5. And TJ Watt is walking alongside Dak, the baddest pass rusher in the game. And Dak turns at him and just laughs in his face. I'm like, oh, but we're screwed. He's got us. This is like almost like a Michael Jordan type moment. Dak is no Michael Jordan, but you see that same sort of composure and aura. So good points across the board, Barry. Finally, to you, Arthur. Scale 1 to 10. How big of a win was this for the Dallas Cowboys?
I'm gonna have to go a step above Barry. I think it was a 7. Because usually they lose these games, right? And that's what it usually is. They fumble it at the end. And so I think for them to be able to pull this one out, especially against that defense, and I know that had to hurt, right? The Cowboys weren't able, we know, not able to rush all season. They weren't able to run the ball well in that game. But that fourth quarter, it was just different. And I'm watching them run, and I'm like, dang, they're really taking it at this defensive line. And it looks like TJ was the target of it, right? A few times we got Dowdle literally running at his side. So it's like, oh, okay. And now we have the defense backing up and trying to play the box more. And now you got guys like Tolbert who's able to get 5-yard curls and get easy touches. So it's like, oh, no, this defense, they look scared right now. They look lost. They look like they don't know what to do. So I think it's a pretty solid win for the Cowboys. The defense played, I think, pretty well. The Steelers were 2 down, 2 offensive linemen. So you got to give them credit where it's due. They realized that once they put pressure on Justin Fields, and you already know that defense loves to attack the quarterback anyway, once they were able to put pressure on them, then it's like, okay, now we can, really make him really second guess what he wants to do. We can clog those holes up where he's able to probably run. We can make him overthrow guys. And you saw that he did that a few times in that game where he missed Washington, who's 6'7", barely missed them, right? So you see things like that, and I got to give the Dallas Cowboys credit. They played a pretty good game, and Dak Prescott was able to come down and get the game-winning drive. So a really solid 7 for me for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, it's fair. And, going to your point about, being able to get to Justin Fields, and I do think some of that is the fact that Pittsburgh's tried to address the offensive line in the draft the last couple of years. It does not, right? I don't know if it's a coaching issue, whatever the case may be. It's just not panning out right now. Justin Fields, who was far from perfect in that game against Dallas. No turnovers, but not terribly efficient in that game. Barely 100 passing yards. I mean, you're talking about a situation where he's having to run for his life. He's having to make plays outside the pocket. He's having to, try and break in between the tackles as if he's a running back as soon as he drops back. So it's a tough spot for him, but kudos to Dallas. Like, we talk about no DeMarcus Lawrence and no Micah Parsons. You had the kid Marshawn Nealon, who was like the replacement for DeMarcus Lawrence. He goes down early in the game, so they're really suffering with from a depth problem, at least in this game. So good takes across the board from you, Arthur. Barry, you're in first place. Let you have the best take in this segment. I'm going to give you the lead with 8 points. Arthur, you get the second best take with 4. Let's just say 4 points. My bad. 4 points. And then Mike Guido, you're in second right now, but you only get 1 point for this segment. So it's tight. It's 8-6-4. We're just getting started here on the 8 o'clock spot.